Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, hello. My name is Caitlin Elliott, and if you don't know who I am, I cover true crime cases on Tuesdays and Fridays, with my more vintage cases being posted on Fridays. Now, if this is something that interests you, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so that you never miss any of my uploads. So in my last video, we actually discussed the case of Ebony Simpson, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about someone who's more famous, and this is going to be the case of Brittany Murphy. Have you guys ever heard of Brittany Murphy? So she was a well-known actress who starred in hit films such as Clueless and 8 Mile and Girl Interrupted and Happy Feet, just to name a few. So a lot of us may recognize who she was. But did you know that Brittany Murphy would actually pass away at the age of 32 years old? And not long after she would pass away, her husband would pass away as well. The whole incident became one of the biggest mysteries in Hollywood history. And after the two deaths, people became extremely intrigued about what possibly could have happened. And a lot of rumors ended up becoming spread around through the local community about what happened to the couple. When Brittany was filmed, she was being filmed, she was said to have had like a very bright and sparkling personality, and she just lit up a room because of the way that she would act and she would talk. She just acted very, she didn't even seem like she was on camera. She just acted natural and had a wonderful personality that everybody loved. So when she passed away, her friends and her co-workers really recalled her having a smile just 24/7, along with her extremely social personality. When Brittany passed away, it really shocked a lot of people who knew her, along with all the fans and the public. No one was expecting her to pass away at such a young age. At the time, people had just assumed, that she had died of a drug overdose and saying that this was her official cause of death. However, when it came to the autopsy report, it claimed that there were several factors that had actually been involved in her death. There was a coroner in Los Angeles who did a coroner's report on Brittany, and it was announced there were actually 3 primary causes of death: drug intoxication, iron deficiency, and anemia as well. So there was 3 reasons why she had passed away. There were also multiple medications that were found in her system, and these medications were said to have been consistent to what you would receive over the counter. Once this report about the drug intoxication went public, there were multiple rumors about Brittany being heavily addicted to drugs, and this was with the press saying that she was a heavy user of multiple prescription drugs, that she would get them off of anyone. However, despite all of these rumors and reports being made, they were all lies, and she had never 100% ever used drugs. Despite all of this, when her husband Simon Monjack dies in the same household 5 months later, the drug rumors surrounding them and what possibly could have happened to them just increased tenfold. When it became known that he had died not long after, the celebrity world just absolutely exploded into a rapid amount of conspiracy theories as to what possibly could have happened to the couple. It was already extremely heartbreaking at the time that Brittany had passed away, but now, only a few months later, Simon would pass away as well, and it just blew everybody's minds. Brittany Murphy was born as Brittany Ann Bertolotti on November 10th of 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia. Her parents' names were Sharon Kathleen Murphy and Angelo Joseph Bertolotti, which her dad's name, like I said, it kind of reminds me of the Golden State Killer because his name was Joseph James D'Angelo Jr. Like, it kind of sounds a little familiar. Her parents were said to have gotten divorced when Brittany was only 2 years old, and the custody was ultimately given to her mother. So once her mother was given custody, they ended up moving together to Edison, New Jersey, and at the time it was said that it was just the 2 of them that were living together. She ended up going to school with her younger sister and she had a younger half-sister and 2 older half-brothers before moving to Los Angeles in the year of 1991 in order for Brittany to pursue an acting career. So her mother was very involved in her children's lives for them to be able to become successful, which is something she refused to hold them back from. She refused to tell her kids that they couldn't do anything that they dreamed of. Hollywood then began to wonder if drug abuse was in fact a factor into how Brittany Murphy passed away. To them, it seemed extremely suspicious that both of them had passed away within only a matter of a few months. And it was even more bizarre that the exact same cause of a drug overdose and was the causes of death for both of them. Most of the authorities became extremely suspicious of Simon Monjack, who was Brittany's husband, because he had only married her only 2.5 years prior, and not long after, and this was before their untimely death, and they would end up being found dead. It made them very suspicious. According to most people that knew them, they seemed like a very unlikely couple. So when, in fact, everyone heard that they were married, everyone was just completely shocked by this. Simon was said to have been a very young British man, and he had met Brittany on a night out in Los Angeles one evening. The two of them fell in love right away, and he was absolutely just thrilled to have Brittany all by himself, all to himself, he was just really excited. However, most people thought and knew that Simon was said to be an extremely suspicious individual and just gave off some really weird vibes about him. They were then married extremely quickly, and this was after they had gotten together. They were married only within 6 weeks of getting together, and this really confused a lot of people in the celebrity world and in the public. Everyone who personally knew Brittany was just shocked by this. So Simon was said to have been absolutely just head over heels for her and devoted all of his time, his love, his energy to her. When Brittany passed away, he was just torn up emotionally, and he would have constant mental breakdowns due to him missing her. In January of 2010, which was only 1 month after Brittany passed away, Simon would appear on the NBC's Today Show. Well, on the talk show, he spoke on live television about the death of his wife, and this had been extremely difficult for him to talk about because it was not long after his wife had passed away, and he's sitting there bringing it up again, saying, hey, this is what happened to my wife. It just reopens an already, semi-closed wound, you're still trying to process everything, and you have to talk about it, and it opens it up again. So, like I said, I cannot even imagine, losing your loved one so suddenly, and then you had to go onto live television and to speak about it. It just had to have been just so difficult, regardless of fame and fortune, regardless of who you are. It's just so hard to talk about. He openly stated in the interview that he believed that Hollywood, California was to blame for Brittany getting addicted to drugs. It's not very difficult to assume that this was the case due to the amount of drugs that are often distributed freely in the streets of Los Angeles, and all you have to do is just show up with drugs. You could do a trade, you could show up with cash, you can buy them off. So it was not, uncommon. He claimed that Hollywood was like a village, and once you have upset the villagers that live there, they then turn on you and begin to gossip. 2 months later, Simon Monjack invited the Radar's online cameras into their home, which the Radar, I believe, was a magazine, and he invited them into their home with their cameras so he was kind of doing a tour of the house. So this tour was about the house that he shared with Brittany before her untimely death. The people who were present for the tour and ended up watching it on TV as well stated that they were very perplexed by this tour and that it was a very odd thing for him to do, especially right after his wife passed away. According to witnesses who were there with Simon that day, they quickly noticed that there was just something a little off about the way that he was behaving. He was said to have looked extremely disheveled, and he was just drenched in sweat, and he was acting very nervously, which alarmed a lot of people. Along with this tour, he even allowed himself to be interviewed by the press, and for which he stated in this interview that he didn't want any attention, but he just wanted the truth to come out about what had happened to Brittany. So it was also very possible that he didn't want to continue living without Brittany, he wanted to, commit suicide because of the fact that he no longer had his second half with him. So according to references, it is said that he had called a very good friend, and this friend, listened to him while he was talking, and Simon informed him that, Simon, was going to kill himself. So he could have been using this house tour in a way to prepare for auctioning off all the items in his home. And this is a big possibility, this is a big theory, this has never been proven, but it is possible. There was a publicist who was hired to help Simon after the death of Brittany, and she decides to see that there was an important, notice of his health rapidly declining ever since Brittany had passed away. He would fall asleep in the middle of an interview like a narcoleptic, and then he would just wake up completely paranoid because he had no idea where he was, who he was, and it quickly became apparent to others that there was not something that was just not quite right about the way that he was acting. Again, I'm not trying to trying to make fun of anyone who's narcoleptic. I'm literally saying it seems like he was acting like he was narcoleptic. Simon soon started claiming that he was having just these flu-like symptoms and he just wasn't feeling well to everyone he could. He just started telling everyone, hey, I think I might have the flu. At this point, no one truly realized this, but as they were talking to Simon and he was saying that he felt like he had the flu, they were actually watching him die. So, despite all of this, he was said to have not been in the greatest physical health, and he was extremely overweight for his age and height, but no one really thought anything of this. Simon actually ended up passing away unexpectedly just 2 months after the extremely bizarre house tour. When the news came out that Simon had also passed away, everyone was just in absolute shock about what had happened. They were just like, oh my god, he was just alive during this house tour, So this included his one friend that he had been talking to, saying that he wanted to commit suicide, and he was in just straight disbelief, and he could not believe that Simon had passed away, and it had to have been just absolutely impossible for him to have died. So he had only just spoken to Simon just a few hours before his untimely death, and Simon seemed, okay. He didn't seem like there was anything wrong with him. And this was pretty alarming and concerning to his friends. He was just like, how can you just go 1 second, you're talking to someone, and then a couple hours later, they're dead. He just didn't understand it. So the Los Angeles coroner, the same one who was said to have performed the autopsy on Brittany Murphy, would then go on to perform an autopsy on Simon to determine his official cause of death. What really shocked a lot of people was that it became known that some of Simon's official causes of death were said to have been exactly the same as Brittany's. So he had died of pneumonia and acute iron deficiency. This was incredibly suspicious because of what are the odds that this big movie star would die of acute, pneumonia and acute iron deficiency, and then her husband would die of the exact same thing within just a couple months. It just didn't make any sense. Simon was said to have been found by Brittany's mother completely deceased in the bathroom, and she was absolutely devastated by this because not only did she lose her daughter, but she would go on to lose her son-in-law. So the public felt extremely concerned for the mother and how she could possibly be dealing with all of this. The entire entertainment community became stunned by Brittany's death, but no one was reportedly more devastated than Sharon, Brittany's mother. So everyone felt very sorry for her because, like I said, she had lost 2 family members, her daughter and her son-in-law, very, very quickly, had no idea what could have possibly have caused this, and she began to theorize that both Brittany and Simon had actually been abusing drugs. In July of 2010, after the coroner then releases a report about Simon's death, Sharon Murphy would then publicly issue a statement, and this statement said that there was no signs whatsoever in either body of Brittany nor Simon that there was any indication of a drug overdose. Sharon, like I had mentioned earlier, she was extremely close with both her daughter and her son-in-law, and if Brittany was having any type of a struggle, she would have told Sharon right away. It was like they were inseparable, and they had a very close mother-daughter bond. Sharon, like I said, was also extremely close with Simon, her son-in-law, and considered him to be like her own son. She even treated him as such and called him her son. Initially, Sharon, she quickly just dismissed the theory that they had, in fact, there was a connection between both deaths, that she just believed that they were accidental. So then there was even more rumors about both Simon and Brittany that were spread through Hollywood, and these rumors claimed that both of them had been killed by toxic mold. I'm using quotations because it's never been verified. Sharon would then say that these rumors had no physical proof, there was no indication there was toxic mold in the house, and she later filed a lawsuit that stated that the toxic mold was in fact the factor of their deaths. And this isn't uncommon of parents who have had children that passed away. There was an earlier claim that was brought forward from the Hollywood Hills Home for Construction. This is the one that, did the construction on the home, to the courts, and that there were defects that were filed before Brittany even passed away. And these claims would later be brought into a trial. 2 years after Brittany's death, the courts then held a retrial, and it was determined that Sharon could no longer accuse the construction company of murdering her daughter, despite her claims that it just had to, the toxic mold is what killed her daughter. It didn't become long until the entertainment media would hear about this, and they would publish it just everywhere. The local media would even report that the new lawsuit that Sharon had, where she stated that about the toxic mold in the home is what ended up killing her daughter, Brittany. They said that this is what happened, and it was just all plastered all over the news, in newspapers, just everywhere you possibly could find them. She also ended up suing her own lawyers in the case, claiming that they had lied to her and were not upfront with her about the truth that the builders had been doing. The lawsuit was then ultimately settled in court. Meanwhile, someone from Brittany's past, his name was Angelo Bertolotti, and he came forward with some information. This information was that he was, Brittany's biological, legitimate father. So, and after he came forward with the information, he wanted to do everything that he possibly could to get more of a prominent role in her afterlife. So after her death, he began looking into what possibly could have caused the death. No one knew what could have done this, whether it was toxic mold or anything else. So Angelo, he divorced Sharon when Brittany was only 2 years old, and she had absolutely no help with raising her young daughter. Sharon had been a single mother, and she had raised her daughter to the best that she could, while most people didn't even know about the father at all. Angelo would then go on to publicly step forward and provided many televised interviews about his daughter. He wanted to find out the truth about what had happened to her because she just seemed so full of life, and this was just when he last saw her, and now all of a sudden, she passed away. Unfortunately, at the same time, this only would bring attention to Angelo and not to Brittany and her case. In January of 2012, Angelo Bertolotti decided he was going to formally sue the forensic department that had worked on his daughter's case. He really begged for them to give Brittany's hair and tissue samples to him for DNA testing so he could have some sense of understanding about what possibly could have happened to her. He was then able to receive these samples, and once he got them, Angelo sent the samples to a lab for analysis, and pretty soon the samples were returned back to him with some very, very, very shocking results. In November of 2013, which was 22 months after she had passed away, it was then publicly revealed by Angelo that there was an independently owned laboratory that had discovered something of much importance to the case based off of the DNA evidence that he had sent in. This was announced as soon as possible to the public, and it was then added that there were very, very high levels of different types of metals in Brittany's system, along with many different types of poisonous toxins discovered in her body. It was later revealed that these toxins were in fact linked to what can possibly be, it was linked to what can be found in rat poison. So how would Brittany just accidentally ingest rat poison? You don't accidentally ingest rat poison. You don't take a lot. It was not an accident. That's what I'm saying. Angelo Bertolotti decided he was going to go onto public television to announce his findings to Good Morning America, as he had an extremely intense feeling that Brittany's death was not just an accident, but was actually a murder. So, in my opinion, it's always important to go with your gut when it comes to your children into cases, just to figure out what exactly, could have happened. If you feel like there's something wrong, then there's probably something wrong. And it's important to figure out exactly what can be done to help better the situation, and this is what Angelo intended to do. He publicly claimed that he believed that someone had intentionally poisoned the young actress, and he refused to let this be covered up by society. Angelo decided that he was going to do his best to put himself in the middle of all these controversies regarding his daughter's death, and he tried to get a hair sample of his daughter. He then claimed that what exactly had killed Brittany was in fact heavy metal elements and not poison, but this was then believed by several scientists that these heavy metal elements that he had found was actually from Brittany's hair dye that she would use regularly. Her father spoke to a coroner about this, and the coroner then declined to reopen her case. The coroner then put out an official statement to the public, and this claimed that they believed that the causes of death for Brittany was true. Everything that they had put out there is true. There were no other explanations as to what possibly could have killed her. Brittany's mother, Sharon, publicly stated as well that she also disagrees with what her ex-husband, Angelo, had said about what had possibly killed Brittany. There was also an anonymous letter that was written to The Hollywood Reporter, and this is an American digital and print magazine that had a website to go along with it. I'm not sure if they still have it out there, but it was very popular back in the day. The magazine mostly covered on and focused on Hollywood film movies, television shows, and multiple entertainment industries. This letter that was published to the magazine stated that Angelo, he just wanted to, get in there and he only showed that he only wanted to trade on Brittany's life, career, and good reputation. When people started hearing about this, they quickly became suspicious of Angelo because it seemed like he only all of a sudden cared about his daughter and just wanted to get involved after the fact that she had passed away. Didn't even give a shit about her prior to her death, and that is what people believed. So there were a lot of speculations as well that her death was not a homicide, but rather was just an unfortunate accident, but this has never ever truly been confirmed. Even though she did eventually end up in Hollywood, California, Brittany actually grew up in Edison, New Jersey, where she lived with her mother, Sharon. She and her mother came from a middle working class family, and she was doing everything that she possibly could to provide for herself and her young daughter, Brittany. So this all included being a full-time cook for her daughter and a bottle washer at home, a dishwasher, just basically doing everything she could to take care of her daughter and the home. Brittany became a sort of a child prodigy, if you will, and would end up being accepted at a dance academy at the ages of between the ages of 3 and 4 years old, which is absolutely incredible for that age. She was described as having a very bubbly personality, and she was always happy as a young child. So she adored the dance school that she got accepted into, and she loved being there. It was like the best time for her. All of her classmates adored her at the dancing school, and they wanted to all be her friends, especially because she was so kind and nice to everybody that she had met. So Brittany, she began studying acting and singing and dancing all at the studio. So she would do this full time, and her mother claimed to have known right away that her daughter was a very, very talented little girl. As a child, Brittany was said to never have missed a line, a word, or even messed up at all with any of her acting skills and abilities whatsoever. No one knew at the time what she would choose, if she would choose to sing, to dance, or to act, because it said that she was extremely talented with all three, and nothing was ever a challenge to her. While still in school, a young Brittany would land several commercials that were featured all over the nation. So her mother was then extremely proud and impressed with her young daughter's talent, and Sharon would end up finding some agents over in New York City. As a teenager, Brittany would travel across New York City everywhere, and she would go there regularly. And while visiting there, it was said that she was constantly busy with all of her new opportunities that she was given. She would later discuss all these opportunities that she had been given and received on the NBC's Today Show, claiming that she had no idea that over time, she would become this massive celebrity. Brittany wanted more opportunities for herself, so she persuaded her mother for them to move to Los Angeles, California, and as they did so, success would soon reach her. Her charming and bubbly personality really attracted a lot of directors, and they wanted to hire her for multiple sitcoms such as Drexel's Class, Sister Sister, and Party of Five. Despite her landing all of these roles, they were not starring roles, and she did end up getting her big break in the 1995 film Clueless, which she played a character named Ty alongside Cher, who is played by Alicia Silverstone. If you have never watched Clueless or Party of Five, you're seriously missing out. Clueless is one of my favorite movies, and Party of Five is one of my favorite TV shows. I love Party of Five. And so on the set of Clueless, her former castmates, they described her as being funny, full of energy, and extremely lighthearted. When it came to the film, Clueless became a successful financial success, just one of the most financially successful movies of the 1990s. Though Brittany really hit it big in this movie as Ty Frazier, Alicia Silverstone was really the main breakout star from the movie. Clueless would then establish Brittany as a gifted comedian and actress, as she was able to successfully portray a troubled girl. Her next film role was in a movie that was called Girl Interrupted, which I literally just watched last night with my husband, which is about a girl who was living in a psychiatric hospital. In this film, Brittany ended up working alongside Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie, and it was stated by critics that she really embraced her role. And she was able to play this young, tortured girl, and she was able to portray this character very well. So her performance was said to have been extremely enjoyed by critics all over the world, but despite this, most only remembered her co-stars' performances, as Angelina Jolie actually won an Oscar for her performance in the movie. Pretty soon, Brittany then discovers that Hollywood stars, they really get tired of this whole girl next door roles and vibes very, very quickly. This really frustrated Brittany because she wanted to move on from these types of childish roles and move on to more sophisticated roles. Like I said, Brittany was well known for her roles in Girl Interrupted and Clueless at the time, but she really was determined to become a leading lady in Hollywood. It had to have been just extremely stressful and heartbreaking to see all the things that you have worked so hard for, and you see all these people getting awarded for something that you wish that you had. So at this point, Brittany decides that she was going to try to take control of her own Hollywood destiny to try and get a new role. She decided to dye her reddish hair a bleached blonde color, and she even lost a lot of weight in order to become this young, slim, sort of sexy actress in order to gain a lead role. The public in Hollywood, they began to notice that Brittany had been losing weight. So, of course, in Hollywood fashion, there were rumors being spread around that she had eating disorders that caused her to be skinny, and along with this rumor that that she had been heavily using cocaine, which was not true. Despite anything she would say or do to deny these allegations, the nasty rumors just continued to flow through Hollywood nonstop. Brittany was then awarded a role in the 2002 movie 8 Mile, which is a really good movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. It is a fictional biography film about the rapper Eminem's life. Like I said, this is a very good movie. She starred as Alex, who ends up starting a relationship with Eminem's character named Rabbit before she ends up cheating on him. After this movie came out, people really started noticing her as a dramatic actress. So, when people watched her performance in 8 Mile, it was said that most of them considered this to be the best movie that she has ever been in thus far, and Brittany's performance alone earned her several critical praises, but once again, it was really her co-star of the movie that really got all the praise and talk. Despite all of this, though, a lot of people were really upset that her co-star got all the praise and talk, but this is the rapper Eminem. Eminem has been making albums, and, he's been around since 1999. So, he was a very famous rapper back in the day. So, there were a lot of rumors that claimed that Eminem and Brittany had this secret off-screen relationship. There was at one point during an interview on live television that this person, the interviewer, had pointed out that there was a ring on Brittany's left ring finger. When asked about it, she completely denied that it was given to her by Eminem and said that it was actually a promotional plug for an upcoming movie. Despite her saying that, her co-star that was in Just Married, Ashton Kutcher, was then rumored to be her lover, and pretty soon, the rumor was ultimately confirmed. The relationship between Brittany and Ashton Kutcher ended up lasting for only a year, and whenever they broke up, her heart was really shattered because she really liked Ashton. He had this nice personality about him that really drew her in. Despite her relationship setbacks, Brittany's career really continued to thrive. In 2003, she then co-stars with a 10-year-old girl named Dakota Fanning, and they were in this movie called Uptown Girls, and she ended up receiving $1 million paycheck for her role. This is some of the most money that she has ever received in a movie or has ever seen. And she came from a family that wasn't used to such wealth because they were a relatively poor family. With her earnings that she received, she then purchased a mansion that was said to have been previously owned by superstar Madonna. So Brittany and her mother Sharon then moved into that home in Hollywood Hills, California. In Hollywood, there is a great theoretical, image of always needing to portray this perfect person, and that can really put a lot of pressure on young actors and actresses. So one little screw up or even just one little rumor could literally ruin someone's reputation, and your career would just go down the toilet. Like, it's bad. So there were multiple rumors of drug abuse and eating disorders about Brittany, and each time that these were brought up, she would consistently, deny them and insist that these were all false and made up. However, once a rumor comes to the public, it becomes very difficult to shake it off. There were then rumors spread around to the tabloids that Brittany was difficult to work with on movie sets. Like most actresses and actors have, her stunt double, she denied this information and claimed to have known Brittany personally and saying that she would never misbehave on sets. She would show up to work every day during filming, and this was regardless whether or not she was sick or not, and she would really devote herself 150% to her film. So over time, it just seemed like no matter what she did, the rumors would continue to swirl around Hollywood, and Brittany's reputation in Hollywood would just plummet greatly. Not long after, there was an internet reporter known as Jordache Junkie, and this person posted a lot of blind items onto their blog regarding Brittany, and these type of blind items that they type out can be very damaging to Hollywood stars. A lot of rumors swirled around that she was the one that was behind all of this because she was Jordache's #1 leading model. So pretty soon, no one would continue to see Brittany as this actress, and the tabloids would continue using her as their own personal punching bag. She quickly denied all allegations that had to do with the rumors, and after this, the New York Post immediately attempted to do their best to retract the article, but unfortunately, it was already done and out there, and even more rumors began to swirl about regarding Brittany. Several weeks after the Jordache incident, Brittany and her agency soon parted ways, and this was due to all the rumors surrounding her. They didn't want to be involved in that type of drama. By 2007, Brittany Murphy's career was absolutely destroyed by multiple rumors and gossip by reporters. After a while, she decided she was just going to focus on her love life instead of a career, and that's when she met a man named Simon Monjack. After she met him, the two instantly fell in love with each other. Simon was a man who was not very shy to Hollywood. He was a producer, screenwriter, and a professional photographer with a lot of famous clients. Pretty soon, Simon would become very well known in society for his work, but still, no one really knew him personally. There were multiple people who suspected Simon of being a con man because he would use famous female models and then he would not pay any of his bills and he would not pay them. So when questioned about this, Simon, of course, he denied all of these allegations. There are multiple instances of Simon being caught in many lies, including ones that involved his financial problems. Simon was said to have been over $300,000 worth, was said to have had over $300,000 worth of debt that Brittany had no idea about any of this. Like, she did not know that he was in that much debt. A lot of people who did business with Simon would oftentimes say that he was just a very shady individual. But however, to those who met him, they claimed that Simon was just very charming and smart. One person stated that they never believed that there could be any lies regarding Simon, and if he was a liar, no one would be able to do business with him because he would have a bad reputation as being a liar. So, Brittany loved that Simon was just so incredibly intelligent, and according to people that knew the couple, it seemed like she actually even worshipped his intelligence. After dating for only a brief amount of time, the couple got married in a very private ceremony in Brittany's backyard. Because she was a pretty famous actress at the time, it was said that Simon did not look like a Hollywood movie star, and it was expected for her to have been married to a very Hollywood movie star type style. He was not from the United States, and he was born and raised in England, where he was said to have become an author there as well. When word came out about their relationship and marriage, everyone was completely stunned because they thought that they were a very bizarre couple. There were more rumors spreading around once again that about Brittany, that Simon did not actually love her and that he had only married her for her wealth. And this was also said to be alongside the fact that he wanted to gain legal citizenship into the United States. This was soon semi-verified by, a friend of his, that Simon was shocked that there was no money involved in the marriage, and he felt betrayed by that. There was now a rumor as well that he had only married her to renew his visa for the United States, and marrying her would have been his way to stay in the United States without the visa. So Simon very quickly moved into Brittany's estate, and this was in California, and he did this so that he could live with her, and then her mother ended up moving in with them, and he quickly became the only person she really cared about. So their relationship would quickly become codependent, and Simon would then become her official manager so that he could control everything she did, said, or went. Pretty soon, Brittany was hired to act in a film that was on location in New Orleans, but Simon was quickly by her side in that location. At the time, Simon's health was said to be rapidly declining, and she was very worried about him, especially after he had a very bad fall, and he was then said to be on multiple pain medications. After Brittany's movie finally wrapped up, the couple returns to LA when several, pharmacists began to accuse the couple of doctor shopping. For those who don't know what doctor shopping is, it's basically when celebrities use fake identities and travel to multiple doctors in various locations to get prescription drugs. It was well documented that the couple were actually ordering multiple different types of medication from multiple different types of doctors. And when most of the time, they didn't even need this medication. So they were just going to go and be like, hey, I need this, Adderall. And, because it was Brittany Murphy, they couldn't deny her of that. Determined to get her career back on track to the way it was, Brittany began to study ballet in order to prepare for the lead role in a movie called Black Swan. She was said to have been absolutely perfect for the role, but she ended up not receiving the role and ended up going to Natalie Portman. Because she had lost the role, it came out that she was not able to receive it due to the fact that there was multiple rumors being spread about her. At this point, it really seemed like Brittany Murphy's career was just truly over, and this was very devastating to her. In November of 2009, after 2.5 years of marriage with Simon at this point, Brittany and her mother, they fly to Puerto Rico where Brittany was filming. She was recently hired to perform in this low-budget thriller movie film, and she was looking forward to this. So the last few movies Brittany had ever started before her death were said to have been just absolutely horrible. And her mother, Sharon, also stated that the conditions that they had to endure on set were absolutely deplorable as well, with no toilets or running water on set. At this point in Brittany's career, Simon began controlling everything that Brittany did or even talked to, which was considered to be extremely odd because he wasn't even her manager or a manager in general. After only one day on set, she ultimately parted ways with the movie's production team, and there were then soon rumors being spread out that this had happened because Brittany was just difficult to work with on set. Her side stated this was not true, and the real reason that she had left was because the conditions were just absolutely deplorable. So, even though this statement went out that she had actually stated that she left because of the conditions, no one actually believed if this was real or not, and if she had actually been fired. Back at home in Los Angeles, Brittany begins to struggle with anemia and a weakened immune system. She ends up with a very severe upper respiratory infection that really affected her emotionally and physically. However, Brittany absolutely refused to see a doctor for this, and it was said that she did this because she did not want any more rumors to be spread around about her saying all these terrible things. So, just before Christmas in 2009, Simon and Brittany were said to have been struggling with an illness. This illness they had was believed to have been caught on set while filming this movie in Puerto Rico, but this was never actually proven. So it was also stated by her dance instructor that Brittany was acting extremely depressed and anxious, to the point that they had to actually stop what they were doing and they had to calm her down in the middle of class. Despite whatever she was struggling with, Brittany absolutely refused to show it to the public. It seemed like she was doing her best to try and cover up the pain that she was dealing with in some sort of a facade, if you will. A prime example of this was when she was quoted to be all smiles when she was on a red carpet event, and Brittany was asked what her dreams were for the future. Her response was that she just wanted to, move to a cold climate and just start a family. So just 1 week after Christmas of 2009, 32-year-old Brittany became extremely became completely bedridden with a pretty severe upper respiratory infection. Just like before, she refused to visit a doctor due to the negative press and publicity, but after a long while of convincing, she finally decides that it's best to see a doctor for her illness. She ended up making an appointment for December 22nd of 2009, but unfortunately, she would never make it there. On the morning of December 20th of 2009, Brittany was discovered by her mother on the floor of her bathroom completely unconscious. Sharon was furious by this. She was so upset, and she called 911 immediately in an upset tizzy, as we can all expect, because that is her daughter and she's a mother. Despite all of the efforts to perform CPR by the 911 people, Brittany was then unable to be revived, and it was stated that her cause of death was due to cardiac arrest. Everyone was just absolutely devastated by her death, especially when it came to her funeral on December 24th of 2009. This was just 1 day before Christmas, and everyone was so upset because Christmas should have been a wonderful time. Instead, they were burying this lovely actress into the ground. There were so many tears, and no one could actually comprehend the fact that she was really gone. Years later, rumors still swirl around the local media as to what possibly could have happened to Brittany. There were a lot of people who claimed that she had actually passed away due to fatally overdosing on prescription drugs. though this was never shown in the toxology reports that were done on her. There were also several other people who had mentioned that toxic mold was in fact a possible reason for the deaths, though the mysteries surrounding both of their deaths have never truly been solved. Most people believe that Brittany's death was 100% Simon's fault, and he had decided to perform a slow-motion suicide by poisoning. Despite all of these rumors, no one could deny that Brittany's life was truly taken far too soon. Oh, I gotta take a deep breath after that one. It was just so frustrating. So what do you guys think about this case? I'm pretty sure you guys have possibly heard of Brittany Murphy, probably seen the movie Clueless, heard of Happy Feet. So what do you think of this death conspiracy? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn on your notification bell so that you never miss a video. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in my next video. I'm so excited for my next video to come out to you guys. I've been trying to get out as many videos as I possibly could. You know, I just started a new job and everything, so I've just got a lot going on at this moment. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Also, you guys can recommend any type of cases that you would like me to cover as well. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys!